In brightest day and blackest night, no beverage shall escape my sight. Good evening, and welcome to Havin' a Drink with Mink. I'm your host, Jason Mink, and I was just having a little bit of fun with the Green Lantern Oath. It only seemed fitting, after all. We've got a load of Verde goodness to share with you, so stick around. I hope you have a nice drink on hand. I know that I do. Let's go. All right. Now, if you saw last week's episode, you know what happened. We were stoked to take a look at the Mego, World's Greatest Superheroes, 50th Anniversary Captain Marvel. I opened the action figure, and the damn thing broke 30 seconds out of the package, much to my heartbreak and dismay. And so I was gun-shy to crack this guy, to be honest with you. I have this and Aquaman still waiting, and, I've been looking at it on the shelf and thinking, do I even really want to mess with it at this point? I was pretty put off by that whole experience, but I figured, come the hour, cometh the man, and Green Lantern, it's your time, buddy. So here he is. The sharp-eyed among you will be thinking, wait a minute, Mego never offered Green Lantern as an action figure, and that is correct. They made him part of this 50th anniversary wave just because. Shits and giggles, I think the term is. And then on the back we have some lovely artwork. This is what the box might have looked like back then. This is Neil Adams' artwork, and that makes sense because Neil provided artwork for Mego back in the day. Now I have taken the liberty of opening this box ahead of time. Employed Stabby Joe, but he had places to be. So, thank you, Stabby. Toss that aside. And then here we have the figure. And right off the bat, it looks good. Oh, but Captain Marvel looks good, too. All right, now, I'm not even going to try and move this guy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow my brother's example, and we're going to strip him nude. No, that's not some sort of horrific Lords of Discipline style shock treatment. I'm actually going to take a look at the joints, very carefully move them, make sure there's no resistance, and, once things are loosey-goosey, if you will, then we're going to move on, and we'll put the costume back on him, and, hopefully he'll stand up a little bit better than the last figure. Now, I apologize to Hal. I know we didn't talk about this previously, but naked Woody Harrelson is here to walk you through it. He'll hold your hand or whatever you need done. So we're going to cut away, and when we come back, Hal will be in his birthday suit. All right, and Hal has doffed his duds, and right off the bat, something particularly interesting. Now, you'll note I brought the captain back here to show us the plastic of his joints is the same color as the rest of his body. The color of Hal's joints is a decidedly white color. Now, granted, that is the color of his gloves, but I gotta wonder, is this a slightly better grade of plastic than the previous kind? So, move his arm very gently. Oh, that is very, very tight. Absolutely. And it definitely doesn't seem to have the range of motion that it would appear to have. Like, when you would look at it, you would see, if you're seeing that much white, maybe there should be a little bit more play there. It only goes up about that far, to be honest with you. So that might be like, I don't know, 30%, 35%. It does have this lateral movement, which is awesome. That's a nice solid joint. That feels fine. How's this one? This feels good. This one is actually not quite as tight, but still, I don't like the way these things feel. I'll be honest with you. It's just, if I have a sense of anxiety when playing with my toys, then something is being lost from the experience. But hands move nicely, hips move good. His waist's a little wonky, but these new waists just are. Okay. Now, here's where we encountered the problem last time. And basically, I simply tried to bend the knee as you would bend the knee. It was all lined up, just like this one is lined up. So we very gently put some pressure on there. Now see, this one is moving much easier. Much easier. So, unlike a previous Mego, where you could literally just pick him up and jank him around. Hey, he lost a shoe. You know what I mean? Like these guys, you really got to treat them with kid gloves, and that kind of, once again, it does diminish my enjoyment of it. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm really happy that this one didn't break. And because ladies love a man in uniform, here he is, returned to his Green Lantern guise. And having addressed the articulation and potential breakage issues, we're going to move on to other salient features, starting with the head. That is Hal Jordan to a T, very serious, very stoic. Now, if we were to compare it to the 80s version, this guy right here, he almost feels like kind of a Gil Kane-ish, Carmine Infantino sort of a vibe there with his hair bouncing and behaving. And then here's the 90s version, I believe from Mattel. And this guy, he's got a lot more product going on in his hair. And, this one, he's more the dry look Hal, if you will. And he also has a bit more of a tan. Now, as far as the uniform goes, this thing is fantastic. Now, my Captain Marvel uniform had a bit of a gather in the trunks. Subsequently, his legs didn't really go all that far apart. But this figure, this uniform fits him like a glove. I gotta say, the addition of the vinyl pieces, speaking of gloves, works very, very nicely here. And, granted, the whites are a little bit different, and I could see these perhaps fading over time, but nonetheless, it's a good try, better than giving him the giant oven mitts that Batman and Robin would have. And as you can see, he's got the standard Mego boots molded in green, and he has a few new pieces. He has a fist, which makes him one of the only standard-style Mego figures to have a fist, the other one being, that's right, the lizard. And then he also comes with this. And I'm not sure if this is newly sculpted for the figure or if they just recycled it from numerous other Green Lantern sculpts that are out there, but it works very, very nicely for this guy. And so I got to say that I feel pretty strongly about this one. 8 out of 10. Still a little bit nervous as far as posing him goes. I know that I'll be very, very cautious when putting him on the shelf. Still not crazy about the sticker. I think that they could have used like some sort of a tampo or iron-on at this point in time, especially since Mego never issued this figure, so it wouldn't really be as though you're not being faithful to the reproduction. I think the paper's just a little bit cheap, and it's kind of off-center on mine. If I kind of jerk a shirt around a little bit, I can get it there, but nonetheless, great little figure, I gotta say. So cheers, and a tremendous relief after the last catastrophe. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about multi-pack bags. That is right. Now, it would be nice if the comics were in here to show you, but if they were, then they wouldn't have come my way. Right off the bat, here's some Battlestar Galactica. You get 3 for $1.09. And, I guess that's a deal. I was never really a big fan of Battlestar Galactica, to be honest with you. Oh, I wanted to be. I was really, really willing to, put in the time. I'd watch the show, but somehow, between the lackluster storylines and, the laughable villains and the action figures without the painted eyes, never really worked for me. But this is very interesting bag and a very 80s colors. And you'll note the Whitman logo down at the bottom. That is a consistent feature of these bags. This one, you get some superheroes. Which superheroes? Well, you're just going to have to find out yourself. I couldn't tell you what was in here. And this is only printed on the one side. So that would give you a nice unobstructed view of the comic in the back. Then here's 3 comics and the superheroes. Once again, generic $1.09. But if you go to Zare, you'll get it for 99 cents. That's right. You got a Zare in your neighborhood? And then we're moving on to the good stuff. Here's a Marvel Comics bag. And there's Spidey, the mark of approval. And this is a $1.80 value, 3 comics for $1.69. And I'm pretty sure that this is the kind of bag that I got my copies of Secret Wars 1 through 3 in. I had missed those when they had first come out. I had picked up 4 from the candy shop up the street, and I needed those 3. And a friend told me that a little comic book shop downtown called Ides had them, and so I'm pretty sure they were in a bag just like this. What's notable about this is it's got a metal ring there to prevent the hang tag from wearing out. That's a nice feature. And then we're going to wrap things up with this, and this is a lovely example of the Fantastic Four. You get 3 comics for $1.09, and you may remember these headshots from the cover of the comic itself. You get a great big logo, and sadly, this obscures most of the cover. So, you'd be standing there in line. Mom would be saying, "Come on, let's go," and trying to figure out, what's going on. You could tell for the most part there and there, but, as for the third comic in the middle, well, you're just going to have to wait till you get home. Or at least out to the car. All right. Then we have this. Now, this was a Christmas gift from my boss, Ken. That's right. This is Archie, the Complete Dailies, 1946 to 1948. And I know that I talk up Harry Lucy, I extol the virtues of Dan DeCarlo, but man, Bob Montana, this guy really had it going on. He was the creator of Archie, don't you know? And I gotta say that his work is dynamite. Reading it in these strips, it really packs a punch, unlike the regular comics, which sometimes can be a bit drawn out. You get 800 sequential comic strips here from the very beginning. Even though they're printed in black and white, you get a little bit of color there. Just a little sampler. Next up, what's in the box? What's in the box? 4 little words that ask a big question. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's head. All right, you're probably looking at this and you're thinking, wait a minute, Mink, that's not an old comic. You were absolutely correct. It isn't an old comic. This is, in fact, something they made me take with me when I left the movie theater. No, that's a joke my brother made. I picked this up to underscore a point. Initially, when Scarlett Johansson had been brought aboard the Marvel Cinematic Universe, much hay was made of the Black Widow and her sexuality, how that sexuality was being used to market these movies. And, they attempted to illustrate that mostly by pulling all the butt shots from the previous films. And so the producers of the Avengers, they were cognizant of that. They weren't going to have any of that, no sir. So when I saw this one, it's very definitely not a butt shot, but with the way it's composed, with the way her hips are ever so slightly canted, I can't help but think that this is actually a post-credit scene from the Avengers, after she'd eaten the shawarma, I mean, either you have a digestive system for that stuff or you don't. All right, what? Larry can't believe I did that one. Okay, we're moving on to the adventures of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, and here they are with Jerry. Wait a minute. They live together? What are they, Ernie and Bert? All right, well, nonetheless, a lovely likeness of the boys. There they are. And they have a fanciful adventure down in Mexico, the kind of which you just can't have today. Mostly because they're cell phone cameras. And then here's Kitty Carr of Hollywood. Who? I have no idea, but I gotta say, she is some dame. Oh yeah. I think that's Bob Oxner's artwork, if I'm not mistaken. Next up, here's some Debbie's Dates. And I make it a point to pick up one example of every teen humor title. What can I say? I hope to do like a little retrospective, maybe a series of videos, a world tour of museums everywhere. But here's Debbie and Debbie's boyfriend. He's apologetic because there isn't really any room in the car, but Debbie, apparently, she's right where she wants to be. Thing about these teen humor comics is they're all about the archetypes. You know, you have the popular one, the stuck-up one, and then you have the hungry one. In this case, this Edgar Winter-looking dude here, Benedict. I gotta say, have you ever been hungry enough to eat an entire string full of sausages? I mean, like, that's next level need right there. You know, I think there's more going on in this kid's life than a, simple empty stomach. Like I said, it's all about the archetypes. In our previous episode, we talked about Dilton and his love woes, and here it is. Turns out nerds just can't get the girls. Bernard is excited because he's got a date, and he thinks it's this gal right here, but it turns out he's mistaken. And he's mistaken to the tune of a karate chop to the nose. And in a post-credit scene, which would get you on the Chris Hedges special today. Yeah. Stick to the books, Egghead. All right. And then here we have Combat Kelly. Get into the thick of battle. Mass attack. And this one's pretty intense. And I was quite struck by the use of blacks in this particular story, Prisoner Patrol, which takes place at night and does a fine job of conveying a sense of excitement and anxiety. Very nifty little trick that you don't see used all that often. I guess black ink is just too expensive. Then it's the Durango Kid. And apparently he's being chased down by the, what are these guys, the Pepto-Bismol posse? And, oh no, lovable Coot Cookie is under duress. Yeah, he's being hornswoggled is what that is. And then here's this fella right here. Please, no gang signs. Go ahead, throw him up. But then on the interior here, check this out. 1,000 live baby turtles given away with this offer. That is right. You buy yourself a magic rock garden for only $1.69 and they'll throw in a turtle. Yeah, that's right. They'd throw it right in the box on top of all the other junk. But sure, why not, Look at all you get. Lovely little oriental umbrella there, some faux flowers, and even a flag. So, you could raise a little patriotic turtle. And then what do we got here? Jet Aces. And I gotta say, I'm not really a war comics guy, is what I should have printed on a t-shirt because I say that so often. But hey, Plosty Raid. What can you say? These war comics really deliver when it comes to colorful explosions. Baroom. That's some hardcore stuff right there. Oh yeah, that's life and death, folks. You betcha. And granted, he's got to go home to his wife in a few hours, but for now, oh yeah, he's king of the sky, he is. You bet. And then moving on to some Jughead. This is a fun little gag. Jughead waiting to get into his own shower. Oh, I hope you clean that thing out first. And then what's happening on the inside? I know that if I ordered this, I'd love to get this. This is a 1964 Archie calendar. And, while I'm happy with my Mars Attacks calendar, I'd be willing to swap them out every other month. And then there's a fun little story. Super Jug. And Jughead, he finds an enchanted rock that gives him remarkable powers. He's even able to lift his friends up. And a disbelieving moose discovers for himself the extent of Juggy's amazing abilities, and he gains the attention of Midge in the process. Look out, buddy. She's bad news. And then here's Nancy, coverless cutie right here. Happy to pick this one up. What's so funny? I never saw anybody with a mouth on top of their head. Apparently he's never been to a West Virginia Walmart. Then happy to have this one in the collection. Who says a comic book has to be good? It's not Brand X #4. And somehow the bad guys win. These are the marble villains doing what they do worst, winning. That's a great Marie Severin cover. Really wild stuff. And that just looks downright painful, it does. And then on the interior, we got stories featuring the X-Men. If Magneto should clobber us. Story about the Submariner and how he just can't get no respect. That's right, and by the end of the 8 pages, he's gone into exile and he's hiding out on a certain popular sci-fi show playing a pointy-eared Vulcan. Hey, it's good work if you can get it, huh? And then wrapping things up, we have this wonderful Gene Callan story. Now, Gene isn't best known for his humor work, but he certainly delivers the goods here. Hubba hubba. That is some great stuff. A lot of fun. Miss Brandak, yes I do. And here is Prince Namor the Submariner in the end of the quest. This is an issue of Tales to Astonish. 25 cents. What a deal, huh? I know a lot of people poo-poo these coverless comics, but I love them. Just love to read them. You know, I mean, for 25 cents, where are you going to get that degree of enjoyment anywhere else in the world, I ask you? And you let me know in the comment section below. I'd like to know. I got a quarter ready. And who says this isn't the Marvel age of massive merchandising? Get yourself some stationery. Oh, yeah, that's right. Write Mom a note. Dear Mom, need more money, spent it all on comic books. And then here's another Tales to Astonish. And this one is number 96. Somewhere stands Skull Island. How do you reckon that crown stays on underwater? Oh, it's Velcro sideburns. Now, as a kid, I first experienced this story in one of those little paperback books. And I gotta say, well, it's a damn sight nicer here at full size. What have I created? And this is the High Evolutionary. That is right, in one of his, if not the, first appearance. So very excited to pick that up. I know that the character is going to be popular soon, thanks to his appearance in those movies. So I'm glad I got this now. And then here's a book that I meant to show last time, but it got cut. These are some teen confessions. Elena, you must come home with me. Let's ignore this square llama. I want to stay here and study flower love. But then, when you open this thing up and you take a look at the story, these two are way dirtier. Apparently they do not have a shower at the ashram. And we wrap things up with Iron Man number 127 with a beautiful Bob Layton cover. We're going to be looking at more Iron Man comics in the next episode, so stay tuned. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this episode. I'm Jason Mink, and I hope to see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your pals. Let people know what we're doing down here. I'd really appreciate it. From all of us to all of you.